we know or can anticipate the kind of battles we're going to have because we've had them each and every decennial. So let's be thinking proactively about, number one, some accurate maps, some objective data on where our population is. And for those hard to count populations where we know we may have undercount, let's be realistic about what those undercounts represent and what those communities are going to need later. Because at the end of the day, as we discussed earlier and I alluded to earlier, this is really just about money. You know, we do these counts because money follows heads. And if you undercount in a community, it doesn't mean, you know, that it's not as though these people aren't there, Paul. The people are there, right, and they're still going to need the services.
If it's about money, why do I keep thinking that you got to watch out for political strength dilution? We'll talk about that when we come back. This is Table Talk. So we'll come back.
AME Recovery is here to return our customers to their pre-catastrophe conditions as quickly as possible at a competitive price. When a disaster ends, our work begins. We pride ourselves on timely customer response. Each contact is prioritized from start to finish. We're experts at providing instant restoration response from all disasters, fires, storms, or water damage. Call our 24-hour hotline at 1-800-458-0693. AME Recovery. When a disaster ends, our work begins.
Welcome back. This is Table Talk. Paul Beaulieu, Blayne, Bondy, and Tracie, Washington. Political dilution, particularly political strength dilution, particularly in African American district or the district. I think that is the concern that when you cut through all of the verbiage and the rhetoric, etc. What are you doing to us? That's the uneasiness, I think, that is in the African American community.
And given the political landscape post Katrina, African Americans in the city certainly have a lot of concerns, a lot of legitimate concerns. And then let's just be honest. When you look at who's returned, how they return, as Tracie has earlier indicated, there's no way that someone can say, when you look at the lower Ninth Ward, they've stuck a lot of money in a recovery effort in the lower Ninth Ward. Well, guess what's going to happen, because that money has not made it to lower Ninth Ward. Now they're going to lose a rep and possibly join with either part of New Orleans East or maybe the Marigny. But one way or the other, they're going to lose a rep that represented them in the lower Ninth Ward in their interests. Now, will their interests be diluted? Probably, certainly so. And a lot of people have a lot of concerns about that. As much national attention as the lower Ninth Ward has gotten virtually no attention as it comes to recovery. And anybody who's driven through there would have a hard time arguing that they have. So, as Tracie said, it's going to come down to monies flowing to that area. Now, that's going to say, with that said, if you don't have someone who specifically represents the lower Ninth Ward, they no longer get a cut specifically for the lower Ninth Ward. When the state starts doing its budget, we start talking about repairing roads, we start talking about community block grant money. All of those apportionments that they've received in the past because they have a rep, they will no longer receive specifically as it pertains to the area. They're going to be adjoined with New Orleans East or maybe a Marigny, which are, guess what, they have high populations. So those reps are going to have a hard time justifying spending their monies in a lower Ninth Ward with a low population when they have a high concentration or higher densities in those other parts of the city that they represent.
What is the role of you wanted to add to that, Tracie?
And it's so important also for us as a community to come together, especially not just New Orleans and the African American community, but thinking in terms of just South Louisiana. Do we want to cut off our nose and spite of our face and say, well, we'll sacrifice Charmaine and maybe, Ann Duplessis because we don't want to have those representatives in those areas? Well, let's think about what happens to that entire voting block then for South Louisiana when you lose 2 or 3 representatives or legislators that are going to be up in Baton Rouge voting not specifically for their area all the time, but voting for a region. And that's really important. And I think when we start thinking in terms of this battle, the census battle, the reapportionment fight on the federal level to keep that one federal seat, and then the redistricting lines, we got to think not only locally, but we got to start thinking regionally. Takes us out of the racial lines and puts us as a group together fighting for the interest of an area.
How can people be engaged in this process? I mean, have a say-so.
First thing, make sure you get counted.
Yeah.
I mean, the most important thing residents can do right now, be they here or be they planning on getting back here by April 1 of next year, is ensuring that you are counted in a 701 zip code if you're talking New Orleans. But for Louisiana, if you're coming back, make sure you get back and you're counted at that address.
What safeguards do we have, and what role will the federal government play in this process? Will the federal government be able to say, nope, we're not accepting this, or yes, we are?
Certainly. As I stated earlier, the state is under federal mandate that any redistricting, any reapportionment on, like I said, on very local level, whether it's, for a House seat, which the Ninth Ward will surely be facing, it has to be approved by the Justice Department. Now, there's processes between going to the Justice Department, as Tracie said, the legislature, whether they do it in-house or they get advice from some independent agencies on how to redistrict. That is proposed legislation, which the governor then either yays or nays, he can veto it. But whatever is finally approved and agreed upon has to go to the Justice Department. It is not enforceable until it is approved by the Justice Department. So Washington will have the final say in whatever happens with the remapping.
And I guess that's a bit of a comfort, I think, to particularly minority groups who might fear that some kind of dilution might take place.
Well, we most certainly will by that time, 2011, 2012, have firmly in place under Attorney General Eric Holder a fully staffed voting rights section from the United States Department of Justice, and I anticipate that those will be professionals who have been in the trenches before, know the types of battles that they're going to fight and going to have to analyze when it comes to all of the Section 5 jurisdictions, and we need to be prepared to have our stuff in order.
Yeah.
Sounds like Tracie might be moving to Washington. No pun intended.
That would make too many people here happy, Blayne.
Yeah, didn't it, from our previous show? Yeah. No, thank you guys for being with us. This is an issue we're going to probably visit several times in the future because it is important, but it is not necessarily the issue that is on everybody's front burner. Run silent, run deep. We'll keep you informed. Thank you for being with us. This has been Table Talk. I'm Paul Beaulieu, Blayne Bondy, Tracie Washington. Thank you.